Hello and welcome to the last live stream of 2021. So this will be a good chance to kind of do a roundup of the year and possibly also to start thinking about what's coming up next year, what's on my agenda for 2022. So looking forward to catching up with some old friends. Hope we'll get some old friends on the stream, and I hope we'll get some new friends too, some new people joining. So let's just start, see if we've got anyone on the chat. Who have we got? Yes, excellent. We've got Nicola again, Nicholas from Canada, I believe. In fact, one of the winners from last time's competition, so that's great. And Hambo Gumble as well, so fantastic. So two people from last time. That's great to see you both. If you are watching and are willing to, do put your name and a little bit about yourself in the chat. It's really nice to know who's out there. It is the last session of the year, and also there's no big prizes, and there's not so much kind of new content. I'm not going to be teaching you anything about project management, although I hopefully will give you some ideas about project management for next year, what your priorities should be, because as well as reviewing this year, I do also want to kind of look at the trends that we've seen this year, which will have an impact on, hopefully, on our project management thinking in the year to come. So it would be good to share those with you, but I also want you to share your thoughts with me. What has made a big impression on you in 2021? What are you looking forward to in 2022? So who have we got? Oh, God, the phone's ringing, and that's really annoying because I think my wife is not going to be able to answer it. Just bear with me 2 seconds. Clint speaking. Yep. Okay, see you then. Bye. My apologies for that. We have a boiler breakdown in the house, and this guy is just checking we're here so that when he comes, he can repair it. It's winter in the UK, and we haven't got a boiler, so yes, of course, we're going to be here. Anyway. My apologies for that. So we'll be looking back on the year. I'm going to split that into three components. I'm going to look at what I think probably are the big world events. No prizes for guessing what number one is going to be on my list. And we'll look at what online PM courses has been doing this year, what I've published, and the collaborations I've done to a degree. And talking of collaborations, I think I just noticed Stuart Taylor, influential PMO, on the stream. So welcome, Stuart. If you haven't yet seen Stuart's and my two videos, one on this channel, one on Stuart's channel, please do, because we look at some book recommendations if you're looking to buy project management or non-project management books for the project manager in your life, or spend some money on yourself. Then Stuart and I have 12 recommendations for you. On my channel we've got 6 recommendations for books that are specifically directly project management or project management related, and then on Stuart's channel we give 6 recommendations, 3 each, for books that will have a lot in them for project managers, but no one would consider them to be project management books. But as you know, I'm a big believer that we need to be T-shaped. We need to have that breadth as well as that depth. So what have we got on the chat? We've got Nicholas, and we've got Hambo Gumble, who, if I remember rightly, is from the East End of London, but correct me if I'm wrong, or is in the East End of London, might not be where you come from. We've got Stuart Taylor, influential PMO, brilliant YouTube channel, moving slightly slower than he. When I first encountered Stuart, he was doing 1 video a day, which just blew me away, because I'm doing 4 videos a week on 2 channels, and I'm doing this full time. And he was doing 1 video a day on 1 channel, and he's got a full-time job as a PMO lead, but he's also got a lot going on in his family life as well. So he's cut that down to 1 or 2 a week. But they are good. They are good. It's really good content. So have a look at influential PMO. Not now. Don't click off this stream. But, well, you click off for a second, bookmark it, subscribe, and then come back quickly. Who else have we got? We've got yes. So Nicholas saying yes, winner from last competition and really enjoyed your prize. Great. Can't remember what you chose because I don't think you were the all-out winner and you had a choice. We've got one winner actually. Don't know if you're there, Rollo, but you won a prize and you didn't get in touch to let me know how to give it to you. So it's there waiting for you whenever you do. What else? Juan Ramirez from Colombia, South America. Is there another? I suppose there's the District of Columbia in North America. Great to hear from you. That's fantastic. Funnily enough, I had a LinkedIn chat with someone from Colombia today. I wonder if that was you. I remember thinking, Colombia. Not sure I know anyone else from Colombia. We've got Patrick from North America, if I remember rightly, the East Coast. I think you've been to every single one of these. Possibly Nicholas has as well. Nicholas, I've discovered Stuart last week because of your videos, and now I subscribe to Stuart's channel. Great stuff. Hi, Stuart. Okay, good. I'm matchmaking for project managers. Hambo, I am indeed. See, this the trouble with this. This is right. I'm reading this. There's a lag on the stream, so I'm speaking, and then about 30 seconds later you're hearing me, and then you're replying in the chat, and then about 30 seconds later it's appearing, but I'm stuck behind. So Hambo is, I think, saying I am indeed in North London, East End of London. Anis Boujbiri. Hope I have got that name close to right, from Morocco. I think this is your first time. It's certainly your first time, I think, actually declaring yourself on the chat, so it's good to hear from you. If you are here for a first time, please do say what your kind of role is in project management, what your interest is, where you're from, so we know where Juan and Anis are from. But what do? You know, there are so many dimensions that define us, and one of them is the kind of interest you've got in project management. Okay, Dave Diet from Ontario. My best highlight from your events was Charles Vivian. Some great advice for high performance teams. I will have new endeavour next year working on a team. Charles Vivian. So I did an interview with Charles Vivian talking about high performance teams. So one of the innovations last year was right at the start of the year, I started recording conversations with other project managers, and I think I got about 18 done during the year. I think there's only one yet to go out, which, if I remember rightly, is Rich Maltzman. And they've been great. They've been fantastic. They gave me a chance to speak to some project managers I hadn't spoken to or hadn't spoken much to. But Charles Vivian, of all the people I spoke to, I probably know best because Charles and I worked together for a few years. We both worked at Deloitte, and Charles, I think his second project at Deloitte was working for me, working for BAA on their year 2000 program, and then we both went out to Holland and worked on the same project again. So that was fantastic. So I know Charles very well, but he's a very different person to me. I'm a bit of a homeboy, really. I just like being at home, and I certainly don't do adventurous sports. Whereas Charles has run across the Sahara, and he's gone to the North Pole, I think, and he's swum the English Channel, and he does all these kind of Ironman contests. So he's a bit of an amazing chap, and he's now currently leading up Roboyo, I think, which is a robotics automation kind of business. So great that, Dave, you enjoyed that conversation with Charles. Brilliant chap. Anis, thank you for your valuable content, Dr. Mike. My pleasure. Wise man, Somalia residing in the UAE. Excellent. United Arab Emirates. Brilliant. Stuart, baby due tomorrow, then I can get back to important things, video making. Stuart, if your baby's due tomorrow, then what are you doing watching a live stream about project management? Let's hope that all goes really well. Babies don't always come when they're due, even if they're a project manager's baby. Interested to know what your wife does. Is she also a project manager? In which case, double bubble on the time cost quality triangle. But remember, with babies, Cost right out the window, completely unlimited budget, I'm afraid. Time, they will come in their own time. So the only thing you can hope for is quality, and you're in charge of that, you and your wife, making sure it's a good and grows up well. So excellent. Best of luck from Hambo. First time preparing for PMP, working hospital IT system analyst. Okay. So, preparing for your PMP, do take a look at my PMP study guide, which is a kind of PMP exam resource kit. It's available on the channel. I might even try and find you a discount coupon if we get a bit of a moment to do that. So, if you want that, remind me. But that is not a full PMP training course. Not something I could deliver, but it does have a huge amount of resources so that every section of the current PMP syllabus in your exam content outline, I have a wealth of resources to help you understand that section. So it will enable you to learn more about the content that you learn in your training course if you choose one, and go deeper into the content you don't understand or want to know more about. Good. What have we got here from Nicholas? One day, Nicholas, you must tell me whether you're Nicholas or Nicola. Nicola. I'm guessing it's a French name. You asked what my prize was. Took the Project Benefits Management course. Good choice, my man. Yes, I think my favourite course currently. Already incorporated some new ideas from this course into my practice. Great. That's fantastic. And we'll talk a little bit, not about my Project Benefits Management course, but how concept of value and benefits is bubbling to the surface and has been throughout 2021. So glad I got the course out in good time. I think that came out right at the beginning of the year. Diet, first stream, manager, underground mining sector. Wow. Is there any other kind of mining sector? Can you do overground mining? I suppose yes. Yes, strip mining and all that. So bit of a fool there, but I went to Exeter University and Cranbourne School of Mines as part of the university, which is a hard rock mining school, so I knew a couple of people who were training to go into that at the time. Nicholas says, I bought the Skills Mastery program. Okay, I think of my core courses as medium, large and extra large, and that's the large one, so that's equivalent of 2 full days training from me. My live program went through all that. It's great. Yeah. Oh, we got Michael Finn. Michael Finn is not a project manager as far as I know, but he is a fantastic photographer. If you're into wildlife, do have a look at his channel when you get a chance. And if you're looking for a Christmas gift for someone who really appreciates good quality wildlife photography, have a look at Michael's channel and his website, because he sells this fantastic book of photos. He took a lot of them, maybe all of them actually. Got it downstairs on the coffee table. But they from his trip to Africa, and he's just a wonderful photographer. Mike just dropped by for a quick visit. Can't stay long. Yeah, Michael always has supper during these calls. And then we've got Anis, who's a PMO consultant and senior PMP trainer. Right, we should get you together with Wiseman, who's doing his PMP. Following you for almost a year. Brilliant. Nice to have you along. Right, well, I'm caught up with what I can see on the chat. But while I'm talking, do type in what you think your highlights have been for the year. I'm going to start with kind of just a few things that have happened over the course of this year in the world. When I was looking this up on Wikipedia, because my memory is rubbish, it seems like so many countries have had elections, changes of prime minister, president, whatever, side to side. We're not going to cover any of that, even though some of them are quite big and important globally. And even Wikipedia, which is supposed to be a kind of global thing, did seem to me to be kind of biased towards global tier events, so multi-country events, multinational events, and the big nations, and particularly the English-speaking nations. So apologies, but it seems to me that the first thing we have to say, the big event last year was COVID and the start of project managers taking control of COVID. No, that's not fair. The pharmaceutical industry, the medical profession taking control of COVID. But actually, the rollout of vaccines has been phenomenal, and it has been a feat of project management. And I think it's a good example of hybrid project management. There's a clear amount of planning going in, so there's a huge chunk of predictive project management, but we've been adapting. And we are adapting now to the new variant, Omicron, so it's a bit of agile and a bit of predictive. It's hybrid project management. So I've got some statistics for you. In January, we first exceeded 100 million cases globally that were reported. There's a good chance that there are far more than that. And the global death toll from COVID rose to over 2 million in January this year. By April, it was 3 million, and there were 150 million cases. And that's the point at which the number of cases no longer seems to appear on the Wikipedia digest of the year. So the numbers are just going up. But here's the really interesting thing. In April, the world had made its first billion vaccinations. A billion vaccinations. That's a hell of a program. Vaccinations rose to 3 billion during June. But sadly, deaths rose to 4 million in July. COVID deaths rose to 5 million in November, but we hit 4 billion vaccinations. So it's been an important year for us globally. We have really had a consequential pandemic in a world which knew that pandemics were overdue. And it's only some Far East countries who had to deal with SARS and MERS and diseases like that really responded well, I would say, in the early days. The extent to which the world has responded well, I think your perception probably depends on where you are in the world and your view of the political aspects of it. But there is no doubt that some countries have responded phenomenally. The pharmaceutical industry has responded really well, but perhaps the global equity element of it hasn't quite been there yet. Countries like my own and the United States have not shared as much, I think, of our vaccines as we could have done, and we've not shared as much of our expertise in rolling out solutions. 4 billion vaccinations, 4 billion vaccinated is half the population of the world, and I suspect that number of vaccinations isn't actually 4 billion people. Today I had my booster shot, so I've had 3, so I probably count for 3 of those, and that's the benefit, I guess, of living in a wealthy country. Anyway, hopefully things will get better. First signs are that Omicron is going to be more easily transmissible, but not any more virulent, possibly less virulent than other variants. Anyway, what have we got? Michael Finn thanking me for my support. Murad Nouri, hello Mr. Clayton, what do you think of the possibility of becoming a PM with a planning experience over your career? Okay, it depends on what planning, I guess. I mean, there's lots of different planning. As soon as you talk about planning as a planning experience to a project manager, we think of project planning, in which case, excellent chance of becoming a project manager. I spent a good number of years with one of my main clients being in the UK, the Royal Town Planning Institute. Those planners are urban planners, town planners, and I was training them in project management. So it doesn't matter what background you've got, you will have experience that is relevant to project management. What matters is the way you take that experience and your enthusiasm forward. So chances of becoming a project manager, fantastic. I mean, really good. The world's short of project managers, so providing you take up opportunities to learn, you choose learning opportunities that are relevant to the kind of project management you want to do, and the kind of organizations you want to work in. You look for opportunities to train as a project manager and to take on project management roles. And although I guess very few countries have formal apprenticeships these days, and even fewer will have project management type apprenticeships, apprentice yourself. Start off with opportunities to do small projects or to work on larger projects with experienced project managers. Make it known to the people around you that you want to learn, you want to absorb ideas, and take on responsibility as soon as you're ready. And I think your opportunities, they're there, and you will do well. Juan Ramirez, this year, several projects put on hold due to COVID. I guess you're not the only one who has had that experience. Corporate companies' size reduction. Yes, I mean, we heard in the news today here in the UK about an American company that laid off 900 people by Zoom. I guess the problem isn't that they laid them off by Zoom, because, what's the difference between a Zoom meeting with 900 people and an experience I had with several hundred people in a lecture theatre where people were laid off. It's how it's done. And frankly, what I heard of that Zoom meeting, the person doing the laying off was basically saying, "Look, I find this very upsetting. It's not about you, mate. It's about the people who are going to be even more upset that you're going to lay off." And it's about doing 900 at a time. That's not what you'd call the personal touch. And I know 900 is a lot of phone calls to make personally. But anyway, a lot of companies have had massive size reductions. A lot of businesses have gone out of business, and that's terrible. Hambo says, my absolute highlight of this year was to be discovering this awesome channel by pure chance during my foray into understanding and applying project management. Well, this awesome channel is glad to have you along. I have a new role as program administrator starting soon. That's fantastic. I mean, for Murad Nouri, who wants to know how to get into PM or wants to get into PM, program administrator, project controller, those sorts of roles are brilliant ways to cut your teeth and to learn the craft. And if anyone out there is a current project program manager or a PMO manager, Stuart, do chip in with any thoughts you have to add to that. John says, awesome. Is that you, John? Are you awesome? Am I awesome? Is Hambo awesome? Is Juan or Murad awesome? We're all awesome. Thank you. Juan, unplanned projects started to face pandemia, vaccination and logistics. Yeah, I mean, there have been phenomenal rollout projects. UK, I think our first vaccination program was brilliantly run. Our booster program, frankly, has been a nightmare, a disaster, because I was invited to get a booster, and the website told me there were 6 places I could go, and all of them told me they had no space, and I had to keep going back day after day. It's picking up now, but I had a good experience today. Very well administered, very well organised booster shot, and I had my flu jab at the same time. So I'm told that I might be feeling ill this evening, but I'm not. Dr. Footlights. Right, Juan. No, we've done that. Oh, John says hi from Canada. Hi. No idea where you are in Canada. Nicholas is also in Canada, but it's a huge country, so you could be thousands of miles away. Hambo also picked up strange fixation for earned value management too. Yeah, that is strange. I mean, earned value management, it's great, but only use it if you really need it. It's a pain. It's not what anyone would do for fun. Anyway, what else has happened this year? January started with the most astonishing political event I can remember, which was the storming of the Capitol in the US. And why is that extraordinary? Well, there are plenty of countries where you kind of expect this kind of civil disobedience running to violence, and you don't expect it in a country like the United States with a stable democracy. But then the reality is, my perception, and this is only my perception from across the pond, during 2020 and some of the years running up to it, you didn't have as stable a democracy in the States as perhaps you'd like to. But I think the big thing that I wasn't aware of, it wasn't in the news in the UK, and I bet it wasn't in the news in America either, but in January, the African Continental Free Trade Area came into effect. That's fantastic. A free trade area spanning the whole of Africa. We take the North American free trade area for granted. We take the European Union and the free trade area across there, and EFTA for granted. It's brilliant that Africa has finally got that level of free trade. It just kind of gives more strength to Africa, which I think it needs. In February, so there have been a lot of fantastic space missions. The Chinese, the Japanese, the Europeans, the Russians, the Americans have all done some fantastic stuff in space. But my favourite has to be Mars 2020. I was so excited a good few years ago now when they actually had that sky crane manoeuvre of lowering a vehicle onto Mars from a hovering sky crane. And they did it again, but this time not only did they land the Perseverance rover, they landed a drone helicopter which has flown on. We have flown a helicopter on another planet. That's just, I think, a huge thing for me. I suppose the other big one is China has created the first module of the Tiangong space station. That has to be a fantastic project, doesn't it? And astronauts occupied it in June. So we've now got 2 orbital space stations that are occupied by astronauts or cosmonauts, taikonauts, whatever. That's fantastic. We had the Summer Olympics in July, a year late. The 2020 Olympics. Are we going to call that as the largest massive delayed project of the year? I don't know. But I guess as a project manager, if you kind of put global pandemic on your risk register 5 years ago as you were planning for the 2020 Olympics, probably that wouldn't have triggered a huge amount of contingency planning. August, the IPCC, International Panel on Climate Change, issued its 6th assessment report, and it wasn't good, and it isn't good. And in October, November, we had the COP26 in Glasgow, and some countries made some big gestures, which are important, and we mustn't underplay how important some of the changes will be if they do come about. But a lot of the countries are dragging their feet. Australia, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia. The reality is that, frankly, when the world goes to hell in a handcart, I will be old and I probably won't care very much. But my daughter will be in the prime of her life, and she may have children who are going to be facing massive changes to the global climate. And we live at a reasonable elevation in a rich country. If you live near the coast in a poor country, it's going to be bad. And these countries who are not doing their bit, frankly, are putting the lives of billions at hazard. One thing I would say is don't think the whole game is carbon dioxide. It's also methane. Methane's the other very important one, and countries need to start taking action on methane emissions as well. Okay, a little bit of sermonising. Let's put that behind us. See what we've got here. Okay. Influential PMO, Stuart says, Murad, start following project management recruiters on LinkedIn. Great tip. And paying attention to what they're looking for. Yeah, and I always say talk to recruiters in your own region, in the countries you want to work in, and in the sector, and talk about the sectors you want to work in, because the answer to a lot of the standard questions like how do I get in and what qualifications do I need all depend on those conversations. Develop skills based on the needs of the market. Absolutely. One of the first things you will learn when you learn project management formally, and I have the basic courses if you want to look at them. I'll find a voucher or create one and stick it in the, maybe not in the chat, but come back in a day and have a look at the description, and I'll put some vouchers in. In fact, I'm going to write that down. So what did I promise vouchers for? Vouchers. I'll do for the project management practitioner PMP study guide, because we've got someone who wants that. We've got the skills mastery course, which is the kind of middle tier, the large rather than extra large version of my project management training course, and the immersion program, which is the extra large version for people who want to basically start studying project management, and the benefits management course, because Nicholas said it's good, and it is, and I'm proud of it. And we'll talk about benefits. Hambo says, comfortable with my strangeness and value. Yeah, good. Shota93, don't recognise your name or logo. What is the best books you advise us to start reading? Well, Stuart, if you're on, could you see if you can grab links to my video, our video on my channel and our video on your channel? Stuart, the influential PMO who's on the chat at the moment, hopefully still on the chat at the moment, and I did 2 videos recommending some less common books that project managers can read. On my channel, he and I each recommended 3 books for project managers that are project management books. Hambo's putting up Never Split the Difference again. Yes, that's brilliant. That is a great book. I do recommend that. On Stuart's channel, we each recommended 3 non-project management books that project managers will learn a lot from. So, Stuart, if you're there and can post the links, that'd be brilliant. Otherwise, I shall go look for them. There's also a set of recommendations on my website. I'll just grab the page for my bookshop. Resources, bookshop. These are more project management-y books. And I'll post that into the chat. You'll also find on my website, on the blog, there are a couple of articles, best project management books, best communication books for project managers. So there's a load of stuff there. And again, Shota93, I will try to remember to put book recommendation links into the description when I finish the stream, and so they'll be there within about 6-7 hours, I hope. Right, nothing beats analog for making notes, I reckon. What have we got? Samuel Nathaniel Gogo, another new name, I think, from Nigeria. Brilliant. What do you do, Samuel? Do tell us. What have we got? Murad, thank you for all the great responses and priceless piece of information. We haven't hardly started yet. Michael, signing off. Sorry, Mike. Oh, yes, Stuart. Guests, hyperlinks from guests filtered. Not if I make you a moderator. Right, Stuart, you're now a moderator. You can now post links. Yeah, should have realised that. Hopefully, you are a moderator, which means that you should have a little spanner by your name soon. Good. Okay, let's move on. Let me tell you a bit about some statistics. One of my favourite channels, which most of you will not be interested in, but do check them out if you are. If you are a science fiction fan, and I kind of was as a teenager, and then wasn't for many years, and then I discovered, yes, woohoo from Stuart, you've got your spanner. When I was a teenager, I read a lot of science fiction, and then I kind of rediscovered it about a year and a half ago when I started following a channel called Media Death Cult. And he's a new channel, and he every month does a review of the month, and he does this little section called Statistics Under the Stairs, where he sits under his stairs and talks to his followers about statistics for his channel as it's growing. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to move under the stairs. Because our cupboard under the stairs is tiny, much smaller than his, and it's got a lot more stuff in it. But I thought I'd kind of give you some basics. This channel that you are watching, this YouTube channel, crossed 3 million views in November, which blew me away until I realised that over half of them have been in 2021. So this year I've had as many views as I've had since 2016. To the start of this year, so that's astonishing. 1.6 million views this year. So thank you all very much. And this year, nearly half of my subscribers came this year. So I hit 44,000 subscribers this morning, which is brilliant. So I'm hoping I'll get to 45,000 by the end of the year. Can we go? And I'm also hoping to hit 50,000. sometime during March if I continue the trend, which would be brilliant. I had hoped at the start of the year I might get to 50,000 by the end of the year, but that didn't look very likely. My best performing video of all time is What is a Gantt Chart, and I'm kind of hoping it will hit 200,000 views by the weekend. What else? So this year I've had 21,000 subscribers, 1.6 million views, and nearly 100,000 hours of views. That's a phenomenal amount of time. There are around 400 videos on the channel for you to watch. I bet, apart from me, there's no one who's watched them. I know my wife hasn't watched them all. I've had words. And I've made, it must be, well, it is over 100 videos this year, because I publish 2 a week, with occasional extras as well, if you count the live streams. We started the live stream this year, and what do we got? We've currently got, according to the chart, we peaked at 20 views, concurrent views, a few minutes ago, and then a couple of people seem to have signed off. I don't really know how to interpret some of the stats, but the live chat seems to show there are 17 people watching at the moment. The best I've had, I think, was around 30. So hopefully next year we can grow it. I also started the interviews, and those have gone well. I have plans for next year to try a new format for speaking with project managers. We'll be doing, I haven't invited them yet, so I'm not going to tell you what we're going to be doing, but I've got 2 format ideas. I've invited one actually, but we haven't arranged a date, and that's Stuart. That's a baby permitting. Stuart, you've posted, I can see you, just see you posted one of the links, but not both of them. Could you post both the links, the other link as well? Anyway, so I'll be talking to loads of project managers next year, and in a new format, which will be shorter and sharper for most of them. And what are some of my most popular videos? Well, how to create a work breakdown structure. That's been very popular. 12 non-technical skills for project managers. By the way, all these are in the description already, if you want to look them up after the stream. What are epics, user stories and story points? Yep, I did an agile video. I'm not an agilist, so I had to research this myself. A huge one was PMBOK 7 conversation with Nader, one of the 12 authors of the PMBOK 7. I will come back to that in a bit. What's a disaster recovery plan? I was really surprised by that, how well that went. Again, I kind of had to research that. I started writing it, and then I thought, you know what, I need to check that I've got this right, because it's been years, and I did a few extra bits and pieces. But I ran it past a very senior IT professional who took a look over it and said, yeah, that's pretty much what we do and how we do it. How to maintain document version control on your project. Never let anybody say that I don't tackle the big, important, exciting issues of the day. Version control, blow me down. Stakeholder engagement methods for stakeholder communication methods for stakeholder engagement in 60 seconds. So I made 6 YouTube short format videos, except I think a couple of them ran to 60.5 seconds and got excluded from the program. And that was the by far the most popular one. I think the emotional intelligence one was also very popular. Not sure whether I shall make more, but I might. What is configuration management? What is Six Sigma and DMAIC? And how to understand the sources of conflict, which was one of the ones I did, which was prompted by the then new PMP syllabus. There's a load of stuff in the PMP syllabus that wasn't there this time last year. And so I've started making content to cover some of those things, because they're not going to be in project management courses or many project management books. So how to understand sources of conflict is directly inspired by a line in the syllabus for the PMP exam, but it's relevant to everyone. So there we go. What have we got here? Who else have we got? we've got Vishwajith, message retracted. Okay, do feel free to corporate finance question. You said later. I guess that's your job. Or are you asking me about corporate finance, or are you offering me services, which I'm not interested in? Ali Al Kabori, big clap. Great work, Mike. Keep it up. I plan to. I've got big plans. Well, not big plans. I've got incremental plans for next year. Lots of things I want to do. Patrick says, congratulations. Tunde Ade, a name I recognise from an earlier stream, I think, says, hi, Mike. Yes, Stuart, there you are. There's the one on his channel. So Stuart's now posted the two book recommendation videos that he and I made together in the stream. So you can click on those later on. I've also, what else have I done? Management courses. So I started a channel autumn last year. So was it 2 years ago now? It's 2 years ago now. Called Management Courses, which is designed to give management training to new managers, aspiring managers who want some top-up training on topics like negotiation, feedback, marketing, organisation structure, personal impact, meetings, those sorts of topics. And instead of making those videos, which I had done in the past, and putting them on platforms like my own, selling them on my own platforms, or putting them on platforms like Udemy and Skillshare, I just put them onto YouTube for free. And I do one lesson a week on two courses simultaneously. At the moment, we're partway through the feedback course, and we're partway through the marketing for managers course. That channel is starting to do quite nicely. Not bringing me any serious money, but it is starting to rise quite nicely. And so if you're a project manager, some of these courses will be very relevant to you. Personal impact, personal productivity, meeting skills, negotiation skills, feedback, understanding organizations. Maybe not the marketing one, but that said, stakeholder engagement learns a lot from marketing. So do take a look at management courses. Let me see if I can grab a link and pop that in the chat so that you can have a look at the management courses channel. It's, I say, there's 2 videos a week on that, so there's probably a good couple hundred videos already on there. And actually, I've built this year a website to host all that content, so you can kind of see it in a more convenient way. Let me just post that website link as well. So yeah, we've done some great stuff on management courses. I also, for those of you who don't know, I have a weekly project management newsletter which comes out on Thursdays. That's come out every week this year. I usually kind of skip the Christmas New Year week. That's about it. Occasionally there's a very short one over the summer while I'm on holiday, because I usually write them in the morning that they go out. So most of those contain some thoughts about project management, and just to get you kind of thinking in a slightly different way. Those emails are the most similar. For those of you who are wondering what Stuart's stuff is like, where he sits and muses about things, those emails are sort of similar in a way to that. And I produce an article every week. Usually 2,000 to 3,000 word article, sometimes as much as 3,500 words every Monday. And so there are 52 of those have gone out in the last 52 weeks. And 6 of them, I think, or 5 of them have been guest articles. All the others I've written myself. And most of them are designed to cover a project management topic in some depth. And so they're very good for people learning project management. Some of the most popular ones, well, the PMP exam, the one that covered the new PMP exam, not surprisingly. Project document management has been popular this year. Actually, that was a guest article. Get your next lessons learned meeting right is one of my perennial popular ones. Stage gate process, project handover guide, what do you need to know, scope management plan, and top 20 stakeholder analysis techniques. Those have been the most popular articles. Most of them predate 2021, but they've been the most popular in the year. And I've had, as I say, 5 guest articles this year. I kind of would like to have more. I'd aim for 1 a month. 2 of them have been from corporate organisations. Sivas wrote one for me called "Does Microsoft Projects Still Have a Future?" They produced some tools around Microsoft Project, and Savion, who is a recruitment business and personnel business, Project Team Burnout. Do you know how to prevent employee burnout? 2 very good articles. And then 3 guests, friends of mine, contributed some fantastic articles. Elio Costa did one on hybrid project management and his Flex system. I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. Anita Fagura, very inspirational woman. We did an interview. Actually, I've done interviews with Anita and Elio on this channel. Anita did one on building inclusive teams. Conversation. That actually looked. Oh, I seem to have posted the link. I seem to have grabbed the link here for the conversation rather than for her article. But she wrote an article on fierce project management and how people who are in a minority in their country and culture can kind of grab the initiative. And Fred Obiero wrote Stakeholder Engagement, How to Make It Work Effective in Hybrid Work Environments. And by hybrid here, he means the kind of sometimes at home, sometimes in the office, sometimes in the same office as the people you work with, and sometimes in a different office, that kind of hybrid environment. Very interesting article. Seems to have got quite a lot of coverage on LinkedIn. So it's been a big year, and I've done 2 real-world events. Yes, in November. I've been out and about. I've actually left the house twice in November. And that's it for the year. But what I have done is a lot more online events this year than last year. And done some very memorable ones, particularly Boston University project management course. Did a session for Rich Maltzman for his students, his project management students. And what did we talk about? We talked... Blow me if I can't remember. Was it about business case? I think it might have been. And then for the IPMA, International Project Management Association, their Young Crew, I did a session at their Young Crew conference on project definition. So those are 2 highlights. And for me, a brilliant outcome. All the stuff I've been doing has finally been noticed by PMI chapters in the States. I've done conferences in the past for European PMI chapters, but I'm in conversation with one, and I've been asked to do 2 sessions for 2 PMI chapters in the US, a conference and a breakfast, and then talking about doing another couple of sessions for another PMI chapter in the US. So that's fantastic, and that's a huge bonus for me of the lockdown, is a lot less travelling and a lot more travelling. A lot less time in cars, on trains, on planes, virtually none. But I've been all over the world, and it's been fantastic. So if you're looking for a speaker for your firm, for your organisation's conference, for your PMI, APM, IPMA, IAPM chapter or special interest group, then just drop me a line, and I'll be happy to talk about what we could do and see if we can make it happen. How do I sign up for the newsletter, says Ali Al-Kaburi. Let me grab you a link, Ali. What I'll be linking you to is a page on my website where there is a sign-up form. What I've noticed is that sign-up form loads a little slowly, so just be a little patient with it. It will load, and there we go. That will sign you up to the newsletter and offer you a free Decode the Jargon of Project Management ebook if you want it. And Vishwajith says, could you be interested in discussing corporate finance in the context of an investment appraisal, maybe in the near future, in one of your videos? Yes, I could, because the very first job I had, I was in project finance, which was part of a corporate finance team. That's how I got into projects. So, corporate finance investment appraisal. yeah, I'll have a think about what could be relevant for a broad audience on that. I'm not going to go deep because probably I'm so out of date on deep, and it's such a big topic. But the principles of project finance and corporate finance as regards project investment appraisal. There's plenty of material, by the way, on building business cases and investment appraisals on the website and on the YouTube channel. There's a big video on business case on the channel, and an even bigger guide on the website to building business cases. So do take a look at that. One day I might do a business case course, but then I've got so many ideas for courses. So we've gone through the self-promotional stuff. We've looked at the world. What I want to do in the third section is to ask you what you think are the big kind of things that have happened, changes that have happened over the last year in the project management world, and the trends that have emerged during a year that you think will carry us forward into 2022. What's going to be different? I've got a list of 7 things in my notebook that I'm going to mention, some in more depth than others, and I think these are interesting things that have emerged as the big themes of the year, and therefore the kind of trends for me. And I'm not saying that they will be for everyone. So do put your thoughts in the chat, and I'm going to start with remote working and distributed teams. What COVID has done for us is forced us to confront what anyone with any kind of antenna for these things knew, which is that the technology we have now enables us to work remotely, so why would we necessarily have big offices to get together as much as we did? Back in the 50s, Arthur C. Clarke, great science fiction author, great futurologist, made the point that when computers are small enough, then business people will not have to travel to offices. They will be able to sit in their home in a rural part of a country a long way from where their office is and be part of that work community. I don't think people believed him, because he said it standing in a computer room where, well, the room was vast, and it wasn't what we now think of as a data storage space, but it was the computers were, bigger than he was. Now, we've all got computers which are, I'm going to show you my phone, but it's clipped up there, so I can just check that the feed is coming through all right to you. But we've got computers this size from which we can stay in touch with our organization. We can video call, which was a great dream of science fiction when I was a kid. In fact, sometimes they'd have a wristwatch and they'd look at it and they'd be able to talk to someone on their wristwatch. I don't know whether Apple Watches, because I haven't got one, whether Apple Watches can do a Zoom call, but no reason why they shouldn't be able to, if people want it. So we can work remotely. We can access data stores, vast data stores globally, and organizations have SharePoint and Salesforce and all these fantastic CRM systems and data systems, Oracle, SAP, Sage, PeopleSoft. Is PeopleSoft still around? I don't know. Barn, I think they went to the wall, didn't they? Anyway, we've got access to all the data. We've got access to talking to people by video. We've got computing power and calculating power. We can run spreadsheets. We can write documents. We can build presentations. We can build videos. When I was a young adult, I was getting to grips with the ability to use a word processor effectively as a tool. My daughter is able to use video effectively as a tool, and she's only 12. Goodness knows what she'll be able to do. 3D graphics, no doubt, when she's in her 20s, will be a commonplace thing. You could learn it. She could learn it now. Blender is a free application that enables you to build and animate 3D graphics and make videos that look like Pixar movies. So, where am I going with this? we've known for a while that this is going to be possible. We've never had the impetus to make it work on the scale that COVID has provided us with that impetus. And we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot about what works. We've learned a lot about what doesn't work. We've learned a lot about who likes it and who doesn't like it. And I think that change will only continue to evolve. But I don't think we're ever going back. That genie is out of the bottle, and we are forever going to have hybrid work environments where some people for some of the time go into the office and other people for other parts of the time do not. What have we got? Right, Tunde, never received a newsletter from you, I think. Okay, well, sign up and you will. There will be a gap. You'll get kind of onboarding sequence of, hi, welcome, here's a little story about me, here's a chance to get some stuff at a low price, and then when you've gone through that, you'll get the regular weekly newsletter. If you're desperate to get it quicker, just send me an email and I'll change the settings. What do you think about agrovoltaics, its potential and future? Well, Vishwajith, I think the honest answer to that is I don't know what agrovoltaics are, but I'm going to guess they are ways of generating electrical power through use of agricultural byproducts, or possibly agricultural farming to produce the materials that produce electricity. Now, I know that people are doing farming to create stuff you can burn in power generation, so coppicing and things like that. But I don't know. Say more in the chat about what they are. What do I think about them? I think it sounds great from the name, but I've no idea what it is. What else have we got? Influential PMO. Before COVID, I believe most PMO analyst manager roles could work effectively, even if they were 100% remote. I considered setting up a consultancy to do that. Then the pandemic happened. Bad time to set up a consultancy during a pandemic. Proved right and created a lot of competition. Yeah, without a doubt. But there, I think there is a dearth of really good PMO consultants, Stuart. So I'm not saying you should do it, because frankly, setting out on your own is high risk and you've got a young family. But there are people who've done it successfully, and so it's an option for your future. And I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done to get them to work really well. So having ideas how to make that happen is going to be good. So, number 1, remote working. Number 2 on my list is convergence of the different tiers of project management. And this is going to lead me into 2 topics that I want to talk about in more detail. So what do I mean by convergence of different tiers? Well, since the 90s, we've known that projects and programs serve corporate strategy, and in between we've got portfolios. I am starting to see methodologies and reference books talking about these as one continuum rather than as a series of discrete steps. And so that's what I mean by convergence. And the 2 things I've got particularly in mind are PMBOK 7, which is the first time PMBOK has really talked about strategy, and it's really talked about portfolios and programs, and it does that now in the context of value, which I think is exactly the right context. And secondly, there's a fantastic project management methodology called Flex, which was developed by Elio Costa, a friend of mine, but only a friend of mine because I heard about Flex, or he heard about me, and we got in touch and we talked. He taught me through this fantastic methodology called Flex, and I think it's fantastic, and it's completely open source. So if you think it looks fantastic, download the free materials and have a look at it in depth. It's got something for everyone. It's got a lot for PMOs, although it talks about VMOs, value management offices. It is entirely flexible, both in terms of its balance between adaptive or agile project management and predictive or traditional project management. It is an out-of-the-box hybrid methodology that is not about trying to kind of cut and shut two components of predictive and adaptive together, it actually says let's take everything that predictive and adaptive and have to offer, and lots of other things like economic portfolio theory, bring all of that together into one big hybrid and create a hybrid methodology. And I was fortunate enough to join Elio on one of his training sessions over the last couple of weekends to look at it in depth, and it's fantastic. So I'm just going to put a link in the chat to the website, because you can download the Flex guide for nothing. You can download the toolkit, the canvas. What does he call it? I can't remember what he calls it now. The Flex Canvas guide for free. There are a load of ebooks on there about specific subjects for free. I'd particularly recommend the Value Governance ebook, which I think is fantastic and was written by me. Yeah. So lots of project managers contributed ebooks to the initiative, and there will be more coming in the new year, I imagine. In fact, I think Elio said as much. So Elio has really taken this kind of multi-dimensional thing of different approaches to project management and related topics, but he's built a structured methodology which blends organizational strategy all the way down through portfolios, programs, projects, all the way down to the product level, and it's one unified methodology. It is fantastic. So that's my third thing, which is Flex. I learned about Flex this year and I love it. The other methodology that you should have a look at, which is also free and open source, developed by Frank Turley and Nader. Like Flex and Elio, we've got interviews between me and Nader and between me and Frank talking about P3 Express. And P3 Express is a lightweight methodology which is broadly hybrid, but it works in cycles, but it is intended for small projects, small to medium-sized projects, to have all the artifacts you need built in, all the cycles you need, and again, it's completely free. The manual is online, and they're funded by the European Union to translate it into multiple languages. Fantastic. So do have a look at those methodologies. Do have a look on this channel for my interviews with Elio Costa about Flex, with Frank Turley about getting started in project management, which is about P3 Express, and with Nader about how to use P3 Express and how it works in a hybrid environment. So fantastic. Now then, Vishwajith says, do project managers do good as politicians? Well, we have to be politicians. In fact, when was it? It was a couple of months ago. We did a live stream on project management and politics and political acumen for project managers. We have to become politicians. We can't exist in an environment devoid of politics, because we can't do our work in a world where there are no people. As soon as you put two people in a room, you have politics. So yes, the best project managers are very capable political operators. It's just that we don't choose to use, I hope in our professional lives, we don't choose to use some of the less appealing political techniques of manipulation and coercion. If they make good politicians, is it the agile ones or the predictive ones? I'm tempted to say that there's no real difference, but the difference I would highlight is that agile has short cycles, and therefore the politics you have to play is over a shorter cycle, and therefore you can give someone a win knowing you can come back to the politics again in a month's time or a week's time or a fortnight's time. Whereas if you are managing a large predictive project with long time scales, you are playing a longer political game, which is harder to play. So I think if you are able to be adept at project politics in a predictive environment, you will find the project politics in an adaptive environment pretty easy. Now then, Ali says Flex methodology, P3 Express is nice, very practical startup project. Yes, for small startup projects, P3 Express is fantastic. Flex, spelled Fleks, not Flex. There is, I believe, a project management methodology called Flex, Flex, but Alio's is Flex, Fleks. Let me spell that out using pilot's language. So that's Foxtrot Lima Echo Kilo Sierra. So yeah, have a look at Flex. I've put a link in the Flex model in the chat. So what else have we got? Do project managers do good as politicians? Of course, even better. Yeah, I mean, we're better than politicians. And of course, let's not forget that some politicians have been project managers in the past, and some project managers will go into local or national politics, no doubt. Right, so what have we talked about? We talked a bit about Flex, talked about P3 Express, and the rise of hybrid methodologies. For too long, hybrid has meant trying to make something work using bits of agile, bits of predictive project management, looking for the overlap. As Alio says, it's not about the overlap, it's like he talks about Venn diagrams, and Venn diagrams, and it's not where the circles overlap one another, it's the whole totality and more. And historically a lot of hybrid project management has really been about saying, well, let's embed some agile practice within a predictive structure, or let's make some small plans within an adaptive structure, which the agilists hate. And Alio particularly, but also Nader and Frank are thinking afresh about what are the different ways you can do projects in different environments, and can you find highly flexible, highly adaptive solutions that are neither agile nor predictive. They are both, and are much richer sets. And I think possibly we are finally getting over the agile versus waterfall argument now. I think it's falling behind us now, and that brings me nicely on, I think, to PMBOK 7 and the PMP exam. Let's start with the PMP exam. The PMP exam changed formally on the 2nd of January 2021. So we've had nearly a year of it now. And what is brilliant about, two things are brilliant about the new PMP exam. I can't remember who it is who's hoping to take the exam. Someone further up the chat. I can't remember who you were. Wasn't one. It was Murad, if you're still with us. So two things I think are brilliant. One is the syllabus is far wider than the old PMP syllabus, which makes it a lot harder for you. But if you learn it and master that syllabus, you will be a better project manager for it, and you will certainly be a more knowledgeable person for it. It is much better, bigger syllabus. But secondly, it is now split between predictive 50% and adaptive and hybrid 50%. Now, that isn't where I'd like it to be. It's a hybrid syllabus with questions about adaptive project management, agile project management and different methodologies, and questions about predictive project management and different methodologies, but fundamentally a hybrid syllabus. It isn't that yet, but we are getting so much closer. And I think the exam is just much, much better, or the syllabus is just much, much better than it ever has been. And it is still linked to a degree, to a strong degree, to PMBOK 6. So, for those of you who are new, I like to flash the PMBOKs and indeed other reference sources. This is purely predictive, and it came out at the same time. Alongside it came the Agile Practice Guide, and actually you can tell, 4-year-old PMI's balance of priorities between Agile and predictive, agile. So, and those are still core references, but something changed during the autumn. I'm not sure exactly when, but PMP published a new paragraph on its website, one new paragraph. It says the PMP exam is based on the PMP certification exam content outline, ECO, not the PMBOK guide or other reference books. That's always been true, by the way, but the PMBOK guide has always been a major reference. A Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge, PMBOK Guide, 7th edition, will now be a reference to inform the development of the exam items. So, PMI has now announced that stuff from this will start to appear in the exams. So this becomes a much more important document to PMP candidates than it was a few weeks ago, when it was not at that time in the PMP syllabus. However, before any validated exam item is added to the exam, there is a very rigorous and thorough review and field test cycle. This process takes multiple months, which basically means, Murad, that if you're going to take your exam soon, you don't have to learn this stuff. But if you don't take it soon, you will have to learn this stuff. What soon is, I don't know, but multiple months. I think we can probably assume that Q1 2022, you won't see questions drawn directly from this in the exam. Q2, you probably will. But I do want to come on to this because I think this is my book of the year, my event of the year in project management land, because this is such a vast improvement on its predecessor. It is a lot slimmer than PMBOK 6. We finally arrested the version after version increase in size of the PMBOK guide. It had bloated to a massive 756 pages. But what is brilliant about this is it is a much, much, much better document. I can't get too excited about the replacement of 10 knowledge areas by 8 domains. I can get excited possibly about trying to map them, which I am trying to do. More about that in March. But I never believed that there were 10 knowledge areas just because PMBOK 6 had 10 knowledge areas. You know, I can get to 20 quite easily, and I just need to figure out how, the different areas of knowledge of the broad project management corpus fit into the 8 domains in here. But what's really exciting about this, firstly, the principles, which I think are great. I could come up with some other principles, which or different ways of articulating them, but I don't believe that it's going to be easy to find principles which are not in some way represented in this document that are of value to us. They're the great and the value bit. I mean, I really do love the value bit of this. A system for value delivery has finally put value on the PMP agenda. It's finally taken it to the heart of what PMI is all about, and it integrates strategy with portfolios, with projects and programs and operations in one picture, and it's a value stream. And now PMI is saying, and one of the principles is saying, we build projects to deliver value, and we need to make sure that they do. And that's what this, I think, really contributes to us. And it has some other great stuff as well. It has, it teaches inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs, ITTOs, and replaces them by models, methods and artifacts, which I think is an improvement. But the other thing I think is really good is that it finally, PMI's people, the 12 core authors and the chair and the co-chairs sat down and they thought, what do we actually mean when we talk about tailoring? What do we mean when we talk about fitting a methodology and a set of tools to the needs of the project? And there is some really good advice on tailoring in this. This is a god-awful expensive book, but it is good. It is a very good book. Is it worth the $99 that its cover price? No. I don't think it is. I just think, well, it's a very good book. And if you are a PMI member and you get the download free and you're happy with that, that's great. If you're a corporate and you can afford to spend $99 on a book like this, or, it is your work life like me and it's a business expense. But if there's anyone out there from PMI listening to this, this is serious. You are supposed to have a mission to educate, and there's people around the world who can't afford $99 or can't afford it easily. And frankly, it doesn't cost you $99 to produce this. It really doesn't. I mean, yeah, there's some colour in it, and the paper's better than the last edition, but It's a phone directory. It's a posh phone directory in terms of its format. This does not cost you $99 to print and circulate. You should be doing this on a non-profit basis. Rant over. Oh, look. Number 7 is corporate social responsibility on my list of 7 things to talk about. But number 6 first. I think this year we've started to see people taking robotic process automation and AI and other concepts like that seriously in the project management world. And I'm desperately trying to find speakers to bring onto the channel to tell you about these things. I have one person in mind, actually, or two. Oops, two people in mind to do that. We need to be using automation to take the grunt work out of projects, things like project reporting, things like data analysis, data insights, even things like risk estimation. We have the tools now available, and we should be using them and learning about them. And one of my missions for next year is to find out more about that and share what I learn with you. And then finally, I think we are starting to see some big organizations take their global and social and local community responsibilities seriously. I would like to think that in 2022 we will see a big uptick in that. I truly believe that pessimists are right more often than optimists are. But I also believe that optimists are just better people. They are nicer people. They are people like optimists. They don't like pessimists. Optimists bring the world up. They bring the people around them up. So I'm going to be an optimist, and I'm going to say I actually think that we will see some positive change next year. The pessimist inside me says probably not, but the optimist says we will. And anything I can do to help that, I will. I think we need to see corporates and therefore project managers within corporate doing more to help the environment, to help the communities, to help the global community, and to help with climate change. And there are lots of other things we need help with as well, like vaccine rollouts and things like that. And you know what? Before COVID came along, we were that close to eliminating polio globally in the way that we did with smallpox. I think COVID has set that back for probably a decade, for reasons we understand. But we need to get back on it. We need to get back on it because polio is just a nasty disease, and we can cure it. We can eradicate polio, and we should. And then we should turn our attention to other multiple killer diseases like malaria, because I reckon we could do for malaria. And if we put as much effort into malaria as we put into COVID globally, we could probably do it in a decade. So, what's the time? 20 past the hour. We've been on for 80 minutes. I'm going to try and end in about 10 minutes. Let's see if we've got anything new in the chat. Do you think we're nearer to an end of Agile versus Agile? Agile versus Agile. Is that a clever joke, Stuart? Because I'm not clever enough to get it. Do we think we're nearer to the end to Agile versus Agile? Maybe you're talking about one Agile methodology versus another. I don't know. I'm not sure I understand. PMI has decided to save more trees with the latest PMBOK. Well, no, I think PMI. I think 14 people decided to write a better PMBOK and to get rid of stuff that actually PMI is putting onto its website. What's it called? PM Standards Plus. All this is going onto PM Standards Plus. I'm sure all this will too. I'm not sure I think they probably realised it wasn't sustainable to produce bigger and bigger books. But I think, having spoken to Nader, I'm convinced the motivation for producing this in the way they produced it was to produce a better guide, a more intelligent guide. And you know what? If you're not a PMI person, I'm not a PMI person, I'm not a member, I'm not qualified, this has a lot of good stuff in it for you. It's just you've got to pay a shed load of cash, which I think is sad. That said, this ain't cheap either. This is the British Association of Project Management Body of Knowledge 7th edition. I happen to think this is It's a far better book than PMBOK 6. I'm not sure it's a better book than PMBOK 7, but it's a very different type of book, but nicely produced, but still overpriced. What is this one? I think it's about 70 quid, whereas this is $99. So they're both about the same. $99, £70. That's about the same amount of money. It's a lot of cash. And there are so many PMI and APM publications I would love to read, I would love to buy, but I'm not poor. I really am not poor, but I'm not spending $50 on this and $60 on that, and to have a whole set. I've got a few. What have I got? Mostly they're old editions that I've had for a while. So I've got the Practice Standard for Scheduling, because at one time I thought I should really learn more about the technical stuff to that. I bought the guide to the Standard for Risk Management when I wrote Risk Happens, and I picked up the Portfolio Management guide at one point when I thought I might do something about that, which I decided I wasn't going to do as a training course. But you know, these things are monumentally expensive, and they shouldn't be. They should be produced at cost price, because they are educational. And yes, I know people like Pearson charge $100 for educational books like this one. You know, these big fat textbooks. My tip, by the way, if you get the current edition, I have no idea what the current edition is of this book, Management and Organisational Behaviour, or of this book, Organisational Behaviour, or Principles of Organisational Behaviour. If you wanted to get the current up-to-date versions, then you would be paying probably the best part of $100 for each of those books. And you probably wouldn't. You'd probably only want one of them, because they all cover the same ground in different ways. But if you go to an online or second-hand bookstore like Abe Books, and you go back 2 or 3 editions, you will notice there is a sudden price drop, and you can pick these things up for $10, sometimes including postage. And you know what? They change every year or two, and therefore you're only going to be a few years out of date. And if you'd bought them a few years ago and thought, wow, I've spent my $100, I've got this fantastic thing, it's the book you'd have now, today. And it works the same with this phenomenally expensive book, which is, I had, what was it? Where is it? I've lost it. I can't find it. 20 years ago, I had a current edition of this book, then current edition, and I wanted to update it, and the modern version cost a ridiculous amount. So I went back 2 editions, I think, got the 7th edition a year or so ago, and it cost me under $10, and it's fantastic. It's a good reference to project management. Of course, as Stuart will tell you, if you just want to learn the basics of project management from scratch, nice and easy, you can't do better than this. But, you know, my top tip is second-hand books. The environmental mantra is reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce your consumption of stuff, reuse stuff that has already been used, and then recycle what you can't reuse. Second-hand books are reusing stuff, and that's what you should do. Right, what do we got here? Stuart says, yep, one type of agile versus others. I read an article yesterday that disputes between the flavour of agile is holding back its wider adoption. Oh, for goodness sake. So, last rant of the evening. If someone tells you it's this or it's this, then they are missing the point. You know, a dichotomy or a choice between 2 opposing opposites is just stupid. It is stupid. It's childish. It's never this or this, because there's a whole vast 3, 4, 5-dimensional space in the middle. And if you constrain yourself to one thing or another, or saying one thing denies the possibility of another, then you are being an immature thinker. Embrace the divergence. But yeah, I can believe it. I can believe that disciplined agile is going head to head with Scrum or whatever. It shouldn't. You know, Scrumbarn is a thing. It's like Scrum and Kanban. Oh, we could take the best from both. So why not Dadbarn? Disciplined Agile merged with Kanban. Or Scrum Dad. Dad Scrum? Dumb. Dumbarn, which is Disciplined Agile and Scrum and Kanban. Or Predictive Dunbarn. Or just... Thanks, Stuart. I'll stop now. I think it's time for us to wrap. I'm going to put a load of links for discount vouchers in the discussion in the description below in the next hour or so, if I can, before I get summoned for supper. But are there any other questions before I sign off? Anything anyone wants to say? It's been a good year. Oh, look at that. Oh, look, I've got a super chat. That's my first ever super chat. Thank you. I have no idea what... oh, here we go. £6 minus YouTube cut. £4.20. Okay, that buys you a coffee. By the way, buy me a coffee. You can always buy me a coffee if you want to. If you don't want to use YouTube, that's another option. But I'm just so grateful. I am so grateful, Nicholas. Thank you very much for that. It's been a really good year for me. It's been a good year for project management. I don't think it's been a great year, but we've had some good stuff. But I've had a good year. I've seen this community grow. I've seen you guys turn up month after month to listen to me wibble on these live streams, and I just want to wish you all a very good end of this calendar year. If you celebrate Christmas or any other Hanukkah or any other holiday at the end of the year, Winterval, Yule, whatever, then I hope it's a really good time for you and your families. If you're expecting a baby tomorrow, Stuart, I hope that all goes perfectly, immaculately smoothly. I know you'll cope if it doesn't, but why would I wish anything else? And there's a new year coming, and I hope you all have a healthy, happy, productive, stimulating new year where you have fantastic work opportunities, fantastic learning opportunities, and a fantastic time with your family, friends and loved ones. I will stay on checking the chat and idly looking for things to post into the description. I will grab the buy me a coffee link if anyone wants to buy me a coffee and doesn't want to use the super chat, but it's by no means even... oh, I've typed in the wrong thing. It's by no means necessary. I do this because I enjoy it. I do this because I like helping people and answering questions. And if I have one request of all of you to make these live streams better next year, is turn up with questions and opinions. Because for me, when I make notes, as I've done for a session like this, by the time I made notes, I know what I'm going to talk about. I know, there's nothing in there that's going to surprise me now. But it's when you guys ask questions and make comments that I get to really be stretched and think about new things and learn new things. So bring ideas, bring questions to future live streams, and I look forward to seeing you all in the new year. Have a peaceful and happy year end. Take care. Forgotten how to stop the thing.